Hi all, this is Tony here, and I will be demonstrating how to use what I like to call the 1-5-1 roll. Now the 1-5-1 roll is a technique used in the left hand in your bass line in order to smooth it out and make it sound more interesting. This technique is applied to liven up the music that you'd see written on the sheet music in your hymnals, because unfortunately for many of us pianists out there, the sheet music in the hymnal is not written for pianos. It's written strictly for voicings. So while reading it will give us an idea of the chords and how the song flows as a whole, it doesn't really tell us how to make it sound interesting on the piano. So many of us who learn sheet music from the hymnals end up playing exactly verbatim what's written down, and that really constricts your playing, and it doesn't help you to smooth it out and fill in the timing more. So what I'm going to show you is how to use the 1-5-1 roll in order to fill in your timing and smooth it out a little better. This can be used in any key. It can be applied to any time signature, but for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to stick to 4/4 timing, 9/8 timing, and 6/8 timing, just to show you in examples of how it works. And then after that, I'm going to go through the theory and break it down and show you how to use it and construct it and add it to any of your songs. So I hope this helps. I'm going to go through 3 demonstrations very briefly of a song without the 1-5-1 roll, and then that same song with the 1-5-1 roll. I'm going to give examples of all 3 of the time signatures that I just mentioned. So a 4/4 song without the 1-5-1 roll, and then I'm going to go back and do that same song. So let's take Spirit of the Living God, Fall Fresh on Me in the key of F. So this is it without the 1-5-1 roll. That's what's written in the hymnal. It's very literal, but let's use the 1-5-1 roll in the left hand and smoothen it out a little. Alright, notice how that sounded a lot more melodic and a lot smoother, and there was a little bit of variation from what's literally written in the hymnal. It sounded almost like a real piece. So, that's an example of using it in 4/4. Now, let's go to 6/8. Let's take Jesus, the Light of the World, in the key of E flat, for example. So, this is it without the 1-5-1 roll. Very standard, very basic, literally what the choir themselves would already be singing, so it's almost redundant for us as pianists to be playing that. So, let me show you it with the 1-5-1 roll. Alright, so you notice how that sounded a bit more interesting? Yeah, 1-5-1 roll in the left hand. Now, let's do a 9/8 song exemplifying the same principle. So let's start first without the 1-5-1 roll. Let's take, what's a good one? I Must Tell Jesus in the key of D flat. Now, first without the 1-5-1 roll. Very standard, very basic, pretty much almost what's written in the hymnal exactly. Now let's add the 1-5-1 roll. Notice how that was a little smoother? Right, 1-5-1 roll. Now I'm going to show you how to use it, how to construct it in each of those timings. So let's start with what the 1-5-1 roll is, and then we're going to build it up using scales and using chord theory, like I said, and then we're going to show you how to use it in each of those songs. So, whatever your scale is, whatever the key the song is in, you identify that first. Let's take Spirit of the Living God, for example. We were operating in F. So we know that our 1 is F, and we know that in this scale our 5th is C. Well, in order to do the 1-5-1 roll, you play an octave of your 1 in the scale, which is F. So you play an octave worth of F, and you add in your 5th, which in this case would be the C. So in a 4/4 song, you play your 1. Get the idea? You're playing an octave of 1, and you're rolling between your 5 and the 1 that you play in your thumb. Then you're also able to do that in the next chord that you go into. So let's take Spirit of the Living God Fall Fresh on Me, for example. The chord goes F, then it goes to a B flat 6 chord, then to a D chord, then to a G minor chord. Right? So, of course, ordinarily you'd just be playing the root of whatever that chord is in your left hand. You'd be playing, when you get to your B flat 6 in your left hand, without it you'd just be playing a B flat octave, then you'd go to your D octave, then you go to your G octave for the G minor chord. Now, what you can do in order to make it sound more interesting using the 1-5-1 roll is in each of those octaves that you're playing, find the 5th of that particular chord, add it in, and then toggle that between your octave and that particular 5th. For example, in the F chord, the 5th is C. So you're toggling between the 5th of that particular chord and it's 1. Then when you get to your B flat 6 chord, well, you know that the 5th in B flat is F, and the 1 of B flat is just B flat itself, so you just toggle the B flat and the F. Then when you get to D, same thing with A. When you get to G, same thing with D. So that's how you use it in 4/4. You just toggle the 1, the 5, and the 1, hence the term 1-5-1 roll. Think of it as a wave. This pressing down on the octave is like the trough of the wave, and pressing down on the 5th is like the crest of the wave. Think of it as that's why I call it a roll. It kind of rolls like a wave. So you get the idea. That's how you use the 1-5-1 roll in the key in a 4/4 song. Now, let me show you just one more 4/4 song to exemplify that. Give Thanks with a Grateful Heart. You get the idea? I'm still toggling between. I play the octave, then I roll the 1, the 5, and the 1. This is in a C and an F. Alright, now that I've demonstrated that, let me move on to a 6/8 song. Let's go back to Jesus, the Light of the World. Notice I was doing a little bit more than just going 1-5, 1-5, 1-5, 1. Notice I was bouncing back and forth. Now that I would title the 1-5-1 bounce. That is used in 6/8 songs in particular, and you also use it in 9/8 songs. Anything within, most of the things within 8 or 4, you in the bottom half of the time signature, you can employ that technique. Now, here's how that works. It's a little more complex than simply the 1-5-1 roll, because basically you're doing the 1-5-1 roll within another 1-5-1 roll. Let me basically give you an example of this. So, Jesus, the Light of the World is in the key of E flat. Sorry, in E flat major. Well, you know that in E flat major, your 1-5-1 roll would consist of E flat, 2 E flats, and a B flat, right? Well, now you're doing a 1-5-1 roll in the 1 of your scale, and then you're going to go to a 1-5-1 roll in the 5 of your scale. For example, the 5th in E flat is B flat. So you do a 1-5-1 roll in E flat, then you do a 1-5-1 roll in B flat. So when you put it together, you get a and that really helps you with those slower songs. What it might help you to do is to memorize, to practice the 1-5-1 bounce for every single chord there is. In A flat, it's take the hymn "Oh How I Love Jesus" in A flat, for example. Notice how I was doing the 1-5-1 bounce between A flat and E flat. So anytime you have a 6/8 hymn and the bass line stays on one chord for a very long time, like in "Hark the Herald Angels Sing, Jesus the Light of the World," the hymn I was just working on in E flat. If you look in the hymnal for that song, you'll probably see that the bass note is E flat for a very long time. Well, in order to spice that up, do the 1-5-1 bounce between E flat and its respective 5th, which is B flat. So that's how to use the 1-5-1 bounce. Now, the 1-5-1 bounce itself can also be applied in 9/8 songs. So let's go back to "I Must Tell Jesus." It's in D flat, by the way. Notice how "I Must Tell Jesus" was all one bass. In the hymnal, if you look at it, it's all in D flat for the beginning of the first line. It stays in D flat for a while in the bass. That has absolutely no variation. It's kind of boring, right? So, for Jesus, you're in D flat for that entire chord. So notice how I ended up using the 1-5-1 bounce and the 1-5-1 roll there. So it really helps you out in those songs to sort of fill in the timing. Rule of thumb, whenever you're resting on one note in the bass for a long period of time within the lyrics of the song, usually you want to do the 1-5-1 bounce in order to make it more interesting. But if you're only in that particular chord for a short period of time, the 1-5-1 roll will do. So, to reiterate, 1-5-1 roll is playing the 1 as an octave and then rolling off the 5th. The 1-5-1 bounce, however, is going between the 1 and the 5th of your scale using 1-5-1 rolls. You use the 1-5-1 roll in 4/4 songs, and for 9/8 and 6/8, and for 3/4 songs, you can use the 1-5-1 bounce. I hope this demonstration has been helpful.